Okay, don't panic, okay? Just don't panic. It's just some bad news. Just some bad news. Oh God, I'm panicking. I'm already panicking. Okay, look, listen. Battlescribe is going. It's getting deleted from the App Store. First Apple, then Google. It's gone. It's dead. It's all over. We're gonna have to go back to using pen and paper to build our army list now, using 6 dozen rule books, and using our brains for math? Oh God. Unless there is one other option. There is a place whose dominion is torment we could always rely on. The Warhammer app. Dare we create a dreaded My Warhammer account and delve into that dark, hellish dimension? Oh, such foul wisdom, cruel in strength. Unless we want to use pen and paper, I suppose. We must. We must. I'll just log in now. Oh, hold on. It's sort of, I think it's frozen on me. I can't log in. Right. I think I'm gonna need to Google how to get logged into this thing. 1 second. Oh, look. It looks like Battlescribe is back up. That was a close one. That was a pretty scary couple of hours. Still though, it kind of opens up a little bit of a can of worms, doesn't it? It's interesting. Warhammer is like the biggest franchise in miniature wargaming, and as a game, it's still really reliant on a fan app. And for those who don't know, Battlescribe is basically a phone app that allows you to build army lists for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, 40k, and Star Wars Legion, Bolt Action, all sorts of different games. But it's mostly used by 40k players. In fact, I would say like 99.999999999% of Warhammer players use Battlescribe to build their army lists. And I heard like all 500,000 of those voices screaming out in anguish the other week when Battlescribe was taken down from the Apple Store. Presumably never to be seen again. Uh-oh. I know what you're thinking. A beloved fan app taken down from a store? This could have only been the work of the Games Workshop Goon Squad. Here to kick ass, take names, and roll over at the first sign of resistance. Who else would have the power and desire to remove such a profitable, useful, vaunted, and beloved application in the Warhammer scene? Certainly, going after everything we love does fit the Games Workshop MO. But stay thy blade. It wasn't Games Workshop at all. It wasn't anybody. It was mostly incompetence, really. And that's not a code word for Games Workshop. It was just the nebulous concept of incompetence. Specifically from the developer of Battlescribe. See, Battlescribe has not been updated in a couple of years, and the credit card of the Battlescribe developer lapsed last week. And this meant that Apple automatically delisted the application from the Apple Store as abandonedware, i.e., application dedicated to the trash bin, because Apple perceived it to not be supported by anybody. But it wasn't just the credit card lapsing that did this. It was the fact that the application hasn't had an update in years. Which is kind of weird, right? For anyone who's used Battlescribe, then you know that all the data on the Battlescribe application is up to date. It has all the latest data on every single Warhammer faction, and if you go on the application right now on your phones, then it's 100% still relevant to the game. And besides that, you right now, today, can give money to Battlescribe. I mean, how else would you remove all the annoying apps on that application and get access to their premium service? So what gives? How can I say that it hasn't been updated in 2 years? Well, okay, so there's kind of a couple layers going on here, but let's make it real simple. Battlescribe, the app, is just a host for information. It's just like a platform. The Battlescribe developer maintains that platform. The developer is basically a middleman. All the content is hosted on Battlescribe, but it's not supplied by Battlescribe itself. This allows the Battlescribe developer to monetize Battlescribe itself, because the application has nothing to do with the data that is hosted on it. So they can make money. And it is indeed the Battlescribe developer who gets all that lovely, juicy little cash for all the users on the application who pay subscriptions to Battlescribe. But, however, the actual data, i.e. the actual content on the app Battlescribe, is created and maintained by a separate data team. This is a team of complete volunteers. They do not receive money for this, and in fact, they can't actually monetize themselves, or else Games Workshop will go after them. And they perform all the actual labor of taking the units and the data sheets and all the rules for Warhammer and transposing it onto Battlescribe, the app. So, this means that you have a situation where the data team are active. They are constantly refreshing all the data on the app of Battlescribe, keeping the unit list, the army list, the rules all up to date with the most recent version of Warhammer. And then on the other hand, you have the Battlescribe developer, who is doing nothing as far as I can see. No, he's making loads of money. That's right. Or at the very least, that is the allegation from the data team. In fact, the data team for Battlescribe recently came out to say that the developer for Battlescribe has ghosted them for like 2 years. And they are pissed off as a result. And it's not just because the Battlescribe developer is making a ton of money, though I'm sure that does incite things a little bit. Battlescribe Limited, by the way, as a company, their books are on Companies House. I had a chartered accountant look through those. I was just curious as to how much money Battlescribe is making. That accountant has estimated that Battlescribe Limited has made around 60k pounds sterling for 2022. And in 2021, they've made at least 100k pounds sterling. And that's for allegedly doing nothing. Nada, zip, zilch, nada. Which is not a bad gig, I gotta say. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would love to be in such a similar situation. To rake in money from subscribers every single month and deliver nothing in return. And okay, maybe I'm being a little unfair. The Battlescribe developer hasn't done nothing at all over the last couple of years. He did rush valiantly to make sure that his credit card was renewed on the Apple Store, allowing the application to once again be downloaded by users on the Apple App Store. So that's good. It also guaranteed that the subscribers who were paying money towards Battlescribe could continue to give money. I mean, I guess that was very important to the developer. I guess it was very important. Doing maintenance on the app, not so important. Making sure that people can continue to give money, very important, 100%, most important thing in the world. And this fact has kind of been noticed by the wider community. It really does seem like the Battlescribe developer over the last 2 years has done nothing but renew his credit card details for money. I'm not a fan of that, I gotta say. And this whole thing has galvanized the community as a result. And it's kind of shone a light on this little niche part of the hobby. And this has provided a space for the Battlescribe data team to take to the lofty mountains of Reddit and make a public statement. Whew. In this post, the data team asked the Battlescribe community, the Warhammer community, and the wargame community at large to stop subscribing to Battlescribe and stop giving the Battlescribe developer money. They claim that the Battlescribe developer has ceased all communication with the data team for the last 2 to 3 years, that he has refused to fix bugs and refused to fix the infrastructure on the app that is broken. And so the data team have instead asked the community to support them, because they are creating an open source alternative to Battlescribe called Project Phalanx. And they have asked for anybody with app building experience to help them out with that, and there is a link to that Reddit thread in the description of this video. I've heard about this Project Phalanx before, and to be honest, I've also heard for a while now that Battlescribe is basically abandonware. None of this stuff is news to me, but it turns out that it was news to quite a lot of people, and Battlescribe is an incredibly popular app in the wargaming community. It's probably the biggest one. And as a result, there are other projects out there being done by developers that can be used for list building. So of course there is Project Phalanx, but there is also other applications like Rosterizer. Now the actual monetization of these apps is kind of tricky because Games Workshop does go after anybody who hosts and supplies data for their games, which is why you need to have these kind of different layers where the data team who are doing all the data stuff are separate from the developers. But that's only if you try to monetize it, right? So from what I understand, Project Phalanx is going to be open source, not monetized at all. So Games Workshop shouldn't really be able to go after them. But I guess one element of all this that I never really thought about is the money that's coming in. Because I don't subscribe to Battlescribe at all, then I kind of forgot that there is a group of people out there who are paying money to Battlescribe for a service that really isn't getting fulfilled. And yeah, in this video, I've been pretty hard on the developer of Battlescribe, but to be perfectly frank, the reason for that is because I believe the Battlescribe data team. It sounds like they're really pissed off at the Battlescribe developer, with good reason. And the Battlescribe developer hasn't really issued much of a formal response. At the time of recording, they haven't really disagreed with any of the claims or given any defense. Now, the developer did offer an excuse. They said that they have been gone for personal reasons. And they also claimed that they're pretty bad at social media, as if this is some sort of excuse for not updating the app at all. But you know, they sure came back in a hurry the moment that money was being left on the table. So it all feels a little bit dubious to me. Now, there is a little rumor going around that Games Workshop issued a cease and desist to Battlescribe a couple of years back. I have heard people repeat the claim that the Battlescribe developer was contacted on the sly by Games Workshop and basically told to stop working on it or else he would go sleep with the fishes. But I don't buy that. It just doesn't explain anything. It doesn't make any sense. Games Workshop wouldn't reach out to app developers and tell them to stop updating their app so that it's a substandard service. That's not the way they operate. They would tell them to shut it down completely. Games Workshop wouldn't care if it's badly supported or well supported. They want it gone completely, 100%. Exsanguinated from the community. And besides, even if they did issue such an order, it's kind of the responsibility of the owners of apps to stand up against this kind of corporate bullying. Community apps, etc., they have a responsibility to their users, to their community, to protect them, to make sure that companies, bullies like Games Workshop aren't able to shut them down. And it is for those application developers and owners to contest claims from other companies. And as we all know, Games Workshop do often just back down the moment that someone shows a little bit of spine. So I don't buy that Games Workshop has had a hand in this one at all, to be honest. It just sounds to me like good old-fashioned laziness. The developer stopped giving a fuck and decided to just keep making money. Which means that, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful that the community can kind of settle on an alternative app for list building. It is an incredibly valuable, important service to wargaming, to Warhammer. And it's kind of funny because Warhammer 40k is incredibly underserved here. In fact, this entire argument about Battlescribe has completely obfuscated the dark heart of the matter here. And that is that the official Warhammer app is absolute trash. But Games Workshop have indeed gone aggressively after anybody who has tried to make a competent list builder for Warhammer 40k and sought money for it. Even as far back as the 90s, Games Workshop was going after Lone Wolf for creating an army builder for Warhammer 40k. Games Workshop think of these army builders as parasitic products. I don't think the Games Workshop realize how important these online tools are to the playability of their game. Or, I mean, okay, I guess I should say, all of this reveals the Games Workshop don't actually care about the playability of their games. Not unless they can monetize it, even if that directly harms the game itself. Which means that if Games Workshop got their way, we'd all still be building armies exclusively out of codices, using dozens, hundreds of rule books, all with contradicting information and filled with power creep. I'm wading through chapters of complicated special rules just to build like a 500 points army list. I mean, now that I think about it, codices are a bit predatory. They're a bit of a scam, aren't they? Check out why in this video here. And as always, a huge thanks to my patrons, especially Sonic Bread and Beauregard Equipment. Thank you so much, guys. And for you viewers out there, why not consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/discoursminiatures. There you can get ad-free content and exclusive live streams. Thanks for the consideration, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!